nobody at the office believed Andrea when the rumor got out that she had quietly crossed $1 million. And honestly, nobody had any reason to believe it, given everything they could actually see about her daily life. She drove the same 12-year-old sedan she had driven since her first job out of college without complaint, packed the exact same turkey sandwich every single day, and wore a coat with a small tear she never fixed. Meanwhile, the coworker 2 desks over, the one everyone assumed was doing well because of the new car and the vacation photos every few months, was quietly 3 missed paychecks away from real financial trouble. Nobody could see it from the outside, and that is exactly the point of this entire video today. Real wealth in 2026 does not look like anything at all. And once you understand why, everything changes. Stay with me, because the ending of this video is going to change how you look at almost everyone. Here is the real problem hiding underneath almost every assumption we make about money without realizing it. We were trained, mostly without realizing it, to read wealth in objects instead of anything real underneath them. The car in the driveway, the watch on the wrist, the square footage of the house in a photo. All of it feels like evidence, and none of it actually is real evidence of anything at all. What you are looking at when you see an expensive object is not wealth. It is simply spending. And spending is money that has already left the building. The receipt, not the actual account balance behind it. Run the actual math on this, and the illusion falls apart faster than most people expect it to. Financing a $50,000 vehicle typically commits a beer to something close to $700 a month for 5 or 6 years on an asset that loses value every single day it is owned, regardless of how it is being driven. Now picture a person who buys a reliable, unremarkable used car and invests that same $700 a month instead, over just 6 years at the market's long-run average return. That boring choice grows to nearly $70,000 total. One person is driving a symbol. The other is building a foundation nobody can see from the parking lot. And here is the uncomfortable part almost nobody wants to sit with. The second person looks worse the whole time. This is not just a theory. There is real data behind it. And the numbers consistently surprise people who hear them. The largest study of millionaires ever conducted followed over 10,000 of them, dismantling most assumptions about who gets rich. The overwhelming majority received no meaningful inheritance at all. Not a small head start, nothing whatsoever to speak of. A third of them never earned 6 figures in a single working year across their entire career at all. The most common careers among them were not glamorous. Engineers, accountants, and teachers landed near the top of the list, while only a small fraction ever held a senior executive title anywhere close to their actual working life. This was not a club of visibly successful people performing success for an audience watching them closely. It was a quiet group of ordinary earners doing unremarkable things consistently for a very long time, unnoticed. Here is why this pattern keeps repeating itself generation after generation. And it comes down to human psychology. The loudest spending is often, though not always, coming from the most financially fragile position a person can hold, because visible spending frequently serves as a substitute for actual security, rather than proof of it existing at all. Someone who feels financially uncertain is, statistically, more likely to lean on visible signals to project stability outward. Someone who is genuinely secure has nothing left to prove through an object, because security already does the reassuring. This is not a universal rule. Plenty of wealthy people spend visibly. Plenty of struggling people spend modestly out of necessity. But the pattern shows up often enough that it should make anyone pause before reading. A watch is proof of anything. So now that the problem is clear, how does someone actually build the boring, invisible kind of wealth on an ordinary income? Solution 1. Stop reading objects as wealth signals, both in others and, more importantly, in yourself as well. This sounds small, but it quietly changes an enormous number of decisions once it actually sinks in fully. If an expensive purchase is motivated primarily by what it signals to others, rather than genuine enjoyment, pause on it. Andrea's rule for herself became simple. She asks whether she would still want the item if nobody would ever see it. That single question alone has quietly saved her tens of thousands of dollars over the years, without feeling like deprivation. Solution 2. Automate the boring parts so it never depends on daily willpower or motivation. Running low some days. The people in that millionaire study overwhelmingly did not report a single brilliant financial move worth writing about. They reported working consistently and staying steady over a very long period of time without any dramatic story. That consistency almost always comes from automation rather than discipline, which is a far more reliable resource to rely on. A transfer that moves into investments the same day a paycheck lands removes the single biggest point of failure. Andrea automated for $100 a month into a simple index fund the year she started her first real job out of school, and increased it slightly with every raise since, without ever making a single fresh decision after the very first one. Solution 3. Define your own enough, deliberately and on purpose, rather than letting it drift upward automatically with raises. This is the step that actually protects every other step on this list from quietly falling apart over time. Because without it, lifestyle creep quietly absorbs every gain before it has a chance to compound into anything real. When a raise arrives, the instinct almost everyone has is to let spending expand too. Match it within a month or two. The people who quietly build wealth do something that feels almost countercultural in comparison to everyone else around them. They decide on purpose what a genuinely good life costs for them specifically, before their income even changes at all, and let their income climb past that number without their spending following it up the same staircase every single time. Solution 4. Let compounding do the flexing instead of an object doing it for you in front of other people. Compounding is, without exaggeration, the single most patient and most powerful force in personal finance available to anyone. And it is spectacularly boring to watch happen in real time, which is exactly why most people give up too early. The stock market's long-run average return has historically doubled invested money roughly every 7 years. Using a simple rule, dividing 70 to buy the annual return gives a rough estimate of how many years that doubling actually takes to happen. The early doublings feel almost pointless, $1 becoming $2, $4 eventually becoming $8 over time. The later doublings are the ones that quietly become life-changing and only show up for the patient investor who stays through every boring, uneventful year sitting quietly in between the exciting headlines that try to pull attention elsewhere. Here is what real wealth actually feels like from the inside. Once someone has genuinely built it for real, and it has almost nothing in common with how it gets portrayed anywhere online or on a screen you scroll through. It is not a car, a watch, or a square footage number sitting behind someone in a photo somewhere. It is the specific, almost forgettable feeling of a surprise bill landing and not spiking your heart rate at all. It is a slow week at work that does not keep you awake at night, running numbers in your head. Andrea describes it as the strange, almost boring absence of a feeling that used to be there constantly before. Low-grade financial dread that simply stopped showing up one day and never really came back after that point. That absence, more than any number in an account, is the actual prize the entire boring system was building toward. So here is your actual next step. And it is deliberately small on purpose, because that is the whole strategy. Small, repeated, boring decisions are the entire strategy hiding underneath every single idea covered in this video today. Pick one recurring expense this week that exists primarily to be seen by other people rather than genuinely enjoyed, and ask honestly whether it would survive if nobody else ever knew about it or saw you with it. Set up or increase one automatic transfer into savings or investing before this week actually comes to an end. And the next time a raise or bonus arrives, let it pass through your hands without your lifestyle absorbing it. If this changed how you look at the people around you, subscribe and stay for more of this every week. Because every week on this channel we break down exactly what actually builds wealth versus what only looks like it. And I want to know in the comments, who is the quietly wealthy person in your own life nobody suspected? And what finally gave it away to you? The small detail that made you realize the truth about them.